What's up? Sound check. I think we're coming in clear. I'm hoping we're coming in clear. If we are not, we'll make sure of it in just one moment. What is up, brother? Good evening. Look at me. I'm like, good evening. I needed some thoughts there. I didn't have any thoughts.
It's
Good
okay. There's
evening.
no windows in your room there, so it's hard to say if it's morning or evening or what time it is. So you
Yeah,
can be
exactly.
forgiven.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how you doing? How is your day going so far?
Hey, it's busy like it always is,
hmm
but hey, it's
hmm
okay. Can't complain too much, right?
Awesome, awesome. Hey, real quick, do you want to tell everyone that's joined us? That song was your song, actually.
Yeah.
You want to give us a little bit of background on that song and when you recorded it?
Yeah. So that song's actually not out yet. Despite the
Ooh, we got a
copyright
sneak
thing.
pre we got a
The
sneak preview.
yes,
So
the
we got a
song
sneak
actually.
preview.
Yeah, it releases for real on February 5th. So Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, whatever you got, it will be on there. But yes, that is not technically out yet. But so that's actually a project I've been doing for about a year or so now, where I play the instruments, I do the vocals, do the
Mm,
production, a little bit of everything. So um, that's coming out, but that's actually going to be the last song that I do with just me. I'm working on an EP right now with some other people that will still be under the Chasing Airplanes name, um, but that's also to come in the near future. So good stuff.
nice. Very, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it actually. I is it so this genre is what is it fall under
Like it's like melodic
metal?
metal. It's like melodic metal.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I actually liked it, and the track was
It's
the
called
name of the
From
track
Within. From
From
Within.
Within. Very nice. Very nicely done, Kyle. I liked
Thank
it
you,
a
sir. I
lot.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
You're very
very
positive
good.
today.
Yeah,
Very
hey man,
positive. I
we
don't
gotta
even
be
know what
positive, man.
I don't know what
Um,
to do with it. Like the emotions and feelings. I feel like I should make fun of you because I don't know what to do with all this positive energy.
all right. Take it easy. All right,
But
just take it easy.
can I just say that Yoda there scares the shit out of me. I keep looking
Hey
at him,
Yoda,
and
what
it's
up? Uh,
terrifying.
I'm glad it scares you. Listen, let me just start off by saying welcome to the House of Fandom. I'm Clark, and this is my co-host Kyle, and we're here to talk about anything having to do with entertainment, movies, movie fandom, and we love to do reviews, especially when we dive really deep into the films that we are reviewing. Such as today, we have, as you can see in the banners, we're going to be reviewing Interstellar and then the most recent Nolan release, Tenet. And that's going to be a very interesting conversation between Kyle and I. One of the things I do want to kick us off on is of some movie news. So obviously, there's a lot going on right now in the movie world, but I do want to bring up the most recent trailer, the actual live trailer that was first released for the upcoming Godzilla versus King Kong. So Godzilla versus King Kong is scheduled to be released on HBO Max and in theaters. And so I'm excited about it. Um, I have a few things that I want to ask you about, and I have that banner up there for just a moment. But now that we've had the banner on there, what is your thoughts? I sent you the trailer.
Yeah,
I want to know what you thought about Godzilla
I
versus Kong.
I have a question. Is this
Yes.
is this the same continuity as that King Kong movie that had Samuel L. Jackson in it from like 4 years ago?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so this is the fourth film then in this like shared universe. So
Correct.
two Godzilla films, one King Kong film. Okay, so the first Godzilla movie that came out, I spent the first 45 minutes of this film
Mm,
pissed because we hadn't
okay.
seen a damn thing about Godzilla.
hmm
Bryan Cranston was dead like 30 minutes in the movie, gone. Just okay, all right, he's dead. That's happened now.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and and there was no Godzilla, and I was so frustrated by this because I'm like, I thought I came to see a monster movie. Damn it! And
Hmm
then that first scene where where Godzilla comes out of the water and like roars, I go, I fucking love this movie. This movie's excellent. I don't even care what happens from here. That was amazing. Oh my
Well,
god.
it was a slow build, though.
It
It was
was. It was.
actually a
It
very
was.
slow
It
build.
was frustrating in the moment, but like at the
Right.
payoff, I was like, I'm all in on this movie. This movie's great.
Right. So, what was your thoughts on Skull Island, the Kong
I
portion?
don't remember the movie. Watching it,
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you what the plot was. That's how disinterested I was in this film, and that may be because I had recently, when before that came out, had recently rewatched the Peter Jackson King Kong film, which is a very different kind of King Kong film, and so now the stories are just muddled in my mind. So I don't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
The second Godzilla film, couldn't care less. Was not interested in it at all. So here's my thing with this trailer. The trailer looks good, aesthetically looks good. I love the Chris Classic, I guess the music in it.
We were
I
just
love the
talking
song.
about the music,
I
right?
love the
The
music in it.
music.
It's great. If and so part of me is like, okay, maybe this is like a Pacific Rim situation where they're just like, fuck it. This is just monsters fighting. We don't really care about the plot. The plot can just be over the top. Nobody cares. But there are going to be monsters fighting, and it's going to be awesome. If that's what this film is, dude, I'm amped. I'm all in. Count
Okay.
me in.
Yeah,
Let's fucking go.
and here's the thing. I mean, we're not looking for Shakespeare here.
No.
Shakespeare. We are talking about Smackdown battle royale between the two titans of the MonsterVerse, Godzilla on one side and King Kong on the other. Battle for world supremacy or whatever the hell else.
Who
I
cares?
have to tell
Let's see
you,
him fight.
yeah,
Care.
exactly. I will say this. It felt like a combination of Godzilla, Kong, Pacific Rim with a mixture of, and maybe it was because of the soundtrack, with a mixture of Fast and the Furious for the MonsterVerse, and that's to me what it felt like. I don't know if it felt like that to you, but it just felt very like yeah, we're gonna just do this. Rah!
I don't know. Maybe this is the thing where the music is fooling me because I don't know. Like I do get it. Like you're kind of amped in the trailer because whoever did the trailer, give them a raise. That company did a great job. The trailer looks good. What I'm skeptical about is the last Godzilla movie. They tried to have like all these philosophical discussions about like humanity's handling of the world and using up resources and all.
Right.
And yes, in real life, that's a problem. We should talk about it. But it's a freaking Godzilla movie. I don't care. I don't care. I just want to see Godzilla fighting other monsters. So if that's what we're getting this time around, I'm hyped. I'm all in. And can I just say that I love that it's coming directly to HBO Max. I don't have
Yes.
to go to the theater to see it. I love the Warner Brothers, everything going to HBO Max thing.
So okay, all right. So let me unpack what you just said there.
Mhm.
Do you care about seeing a movie like this theatrically?
I mean, would it be cool seeing it on the big screen? Yes. Do I enjoy as someone who is about to have a second child, do I enjoy the fact that I can conveniently watch it at home? Oh, hell yes. I would much rather just be able to watch it at home because it's so difficult to get out of the house to go see a film now. So,
Right.
I mean, if I want to keep seeing movies like when they're released, this is how I have to do it. And so yes, I would go see it in theaters eventually, but I'll see it the day it comes out likely because it'll be streaming.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, listen. I think for me, watching Wonder Woman 84, the convenience of being at home and being able to watch it was perfect for me. But I will say that there was a little bit of magic that I felt was lost, from not being able to go to the theater and kind of the excitement of going to the theater. And maybe it's because, the nostalgia of it, but the convenience level was perfect. I wish that kind of a movie with Godzilla and Kong and the battle royale there would have been nice to see in the theaters. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
still an opportunity to do it, but it's the world we're in right now. You know what I mean? Like,
I think there's it's a double-edged sword really with the streaming versus the magic of going to the theater. Because on one hand, the best example I have is Avengers Endgame. Like spoilers at the end, whenever Iron Man, when Thanos goes, "I am inevitable," and Iron Man says, "I am Iron Man," snaps his fingers. Everybody's like, "Yeah!" It's exciting, right? At the same time, back in Avengers: Infinity War, whenever Thor gets Stormbreaker for the first time, and you see his hand just kind of like shake a little bit, and the axe hasn't even like risen, everyone just starts screaming their freaking head, and I'm like, calm down, nothing's happened. Why are we shouting? So there's part of me that doesn't miss like everybody shouting at the theater, but then in some moments, yeah, like it's cool, the energy. So it's kind of a give and a take thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm noticing when you move your hands around, it's very, very interesting. But I think it's breaking up your sound when you do it. I don't know if it's possible to control the urge to go
Probably not.
absolutely
I'll do my
ape
very
shit.
best. I'll do my best, but I make no
I mean, you just
promises.
sounded good, and then all of a sudden you were doing the and then it went
I
woo.
make. I'll do
Anyway,
my very best. Again, I make no promises. I'm very animated with the hands.
listen, no problem at all. I completely understand. I'm excited to watch this on HBO Max coming out in March. I do have a question for you. Do you enjoy or did you enjoy Harry Potter?
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay.
Well, like
Well,
I like the books. Like I've read the books several times, and I enjoy those a lot. The films, they were okay. They were fine. It was fine.
the reason I say that is because one, there is actually another Harry Potter sequel or something along those lines, that a series that is being developed for HBO Max, and so I am curious. What is your thoughts there? All right, so
Come,
I gather from the
come on,
shaking of your head,
come on,
you're not a Harry
come
you're
on.
not a
No,
Harry Potter fan.
no, I like Harry Potter, but it's kind of like the same thing with Star Wars. We just like beating it to death, and at a certain point, you're killing the magic of the
Mm,
original stuff. And I
mhm.
don't know. It's definitely a money grab. I mean, are we? Look, I don't know a thing about this series you're talking about, but just conceptually, I think of the Crimes of Grindelwald series that they've been doing, and it's clearly a money grab. I mean, it's nothing new or exciting, really. I mean, that first Fantastic Beasts film was enjoyable, because it wasn't trying to be anything more than it was. But then they came out with Crimes of Grindelwald, and I was just like,
Right.
come on, can we just enjoy like little one-off stories if we're gonna do one-off stories, and maybe it's like a fun, whimsical thing. But does it all have to be this monumental tie back to Harry Potter? Come on,
All right,
get out of
fair
here.
enough. Well, it's coming to HBO Max. It's being developed for HBO Max, so it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Obviously, HBO Max is owned by Warner Media, and Warner Media is going to do whatever they can to squeeze the lemon out of squeeze the juice out of that lemon. That's for
Oh yeah.
sure. Sammy says that the series is good. He thinks it's good. He's actually excited about it coming to HBO Max in the form of a series, and I'm sure probably the billions of or millions of Harry Potter fans will disagree with you.
I wouldn't say all of them, but I mean, look, I'm probably gonna watch it. I mean, we're gonna call it what it is. I'll probably watch it.
Right.
But am I excited about it? No. But I'll
All
probably
right.
watch it.
Listen, fair enough. Fair enough. And also, he says, bring Johnny Depp back as Grindelwald.
Does
So,
anybody
yeah,
actually care about Johnny Depp anymore?
I don't. You know what? That's a
I
whole
don't.
other.
I don't think any, like even just look off the screen stuff aside. Does anybody actually care about Johnny Depp anymore?
Yeah, and I don't think they do, to be
I
honest
don't
with you.
think
I
they
think
do.
that
Nobody
his
cares.
star
That
has
ship has sailed.
definitely, yeah, his star has definitely been compromised. It doesn't look. It's not a good look what went down. And so yeah, uh, not good, not good. So yeah, I'm not I'm not surprised that his role was they were asked him to step down, and I'm not surprised that they recast the role. He's
What,
got
what
too much baggage.
what was the last Johnny Depp film though that you saw that was good, that you enjoyed?
To be honest, before he went into the whole blockbuster stratosphere, there was quite a few great Johnny Depp films, and I would probably say, obviously, early on in his career,
No, what was the
some
last
of
one?
yeah,
The
well,
last
some of the, well, I mean, you're talking about the absolute last one. I would probably have to say, he was good in the movie that he portrayed the Boston uh, uh, James Whitey, I think it was.
Oh, Jane. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That I forgot the name of the Bulger, or I
Yeah,
can't remember the name of the
he
title.
portrayed Whitey Bulger, but I don't know. I don't remember the name of the film. Oh, is it Public Enemies? Is it Public? I think it's
No,
Public Enemies.
Public
Yeah.
Enemy was another. No, no, no. That was another film, but
My
I can't
wife's in the other
remember it.
room correcting me, but I can't hear because I have headphones on, so I'm sure she's going to make fun of me later. It's fine.
Oh, okay. It's called Black Mass.
Black Mass. Okay.
Whitey Bulger, Sammy on the check-in
Thank you,
gave us
Sammy.
was that?
Thank you, Sammy. I was
Yeah,
being
thank
nice
you,
to Sammy.
Yeah, Whitey Bulger. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to thank Dark Eyes and Sammy and Bueller, anyone 33 for joining us right now. And the ones that are kind of hidden out there that are not actively chatting in the chat room, welcome to the House of Fandom, Lights Up production. And it's all about movies and all about the movie reviews. And we've got two movies from Christopher Nolan that we're going to review, and it's going to be very interesting. So, real quick before we get into that, though, congrats to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hometown where we're at in the Bay Area, for headed to the Super Bowl, and it's going to be in Tampa, so that's pretty neat. All right, so Kyle, I am going to hand it over to you, and
Okay.
I want you to tell me what were your thoughts on these films, and you direct me, and we'll have this conversation because I got a lot of emotions tied to both of these films, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to contain myself and stay focused.
Okay.
So, with that, I give it to your capable hands.
Okay. So I just wanted for the listeners, when you're listening, we have not talked about Tenet at all. Clark, we haven't said two words to each other about this off screen.
We haven't done anything. Keep
So
your
this
hands
is
not in front of the mic. It's going in and out.
hello.
There
I
you
can't
go.
help myself. Anyway, so we haven't talked about it. So this is all fresh, new. You're getting it raw here. Okay, so the reason we chose these two films. So Tenet obviously came out in theaters, not on streaming services in the middle of a global pandemic. It's very important to note why that happened because Christopher Nolan hates the notion of films going directly to streaming services. And look, I love Christopher Nolan. I don't think Christopher Nolan has directed a bad film his entire career. Love Christopher Nolan. If Christopher Nolan's releasing a film, we're watching it. Like that's what happens at my house. Like if he releases something, we're watching.
Fair enough.
So, but he hates streaming services, which I totally disagree with. But he's big on we make a movie experience for the theater. So he released this during a global pandemic. It bombed at the box office because self-explanatory. Nobody was going to the movie theaters. So I didn't go to the movie theaters to see it. I just saw it a few weeks ago whenever it came out, and you could buy it on Amazon Prime.
Right.
So
fair enough.
That's the first thing to note. Second thing, we chose Interstellar as the comparison point strictly because both films are confusing as hell. I mean, realistically, they are. We'll dive into that specifically. So I want to call a little bit of an audible here because I honestly, Clark, want to know your thoughts on the movie. I wanted to talk about this like 4 days ago when you watched it, and we didn't. So I kind of just want to hear what you liked, what you didn't like, and overall, we talked last week about the 0 to 100. Where does it land on the scale? So let's talk about that first, and we'll circle back to Interstellar after we talk about Tenet.
Okay, so a couple of things to unpack here. Okay, one, I enjoy Christopher Nolan movies. I have enjoyed a lot of his films, and I get his artistic decision making. Okay, even if I don't agree with some of the choices he makes, he's the filmmaker, right? He knows film better than any of us. But I am going to say a few things, and I'm going to start off by saying that I had a lot of there were a lot of challenges for me in watching Tenet, and I'm going to start with the first one, and that was the confusing series of events. Okay, I'm not even going to say a plot because I'm not quite sure what I saw and if it is a plot or not, but I'm going to say that I was disappointed in how thin the plot was. That's the
I
first
think it was
piece that I want
thin.
to say.
That's how you would describe it, though. You describe it as a thin
I would
plot.
say the plot was extremely thin, and I can provide you with the things that I would back up my statement, but I would like you to respond to what I just said.
I don't think the plot is thin. I do think the plot is confusing as hell. I think that so I we were watching this movie and probably halfway through it, which was whenever they had the little heist scene where they were trying to get something from the antagonist. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember looking at my wife going, I have no idea what's happening in this movie right now. Now, I do want to note I like films that make me think. I like things that are, you have to really pay attention to details. But I was straight up like, I have no idea what exactly is happening here. Now, that being said, I do think that by the end of the movie, I had an idea of what was happening in the movie. I felt confident in the plot by the end of the movie, but you had to wait for it. Like you had to be invested and trust that Christopher Nolan was going to bring it full circle, because I was pretty confused halfway through the film. But I think by the end of it, the plot made sense. I think that it's well written. Uh, it does kind of feel like Christopher Nolan thinks he's smarter than us, because it was convoluted and you had to be heavily paying attention.
Right.
So that's my response to your thin plot statement.
All right. So, a couple of things. One, I disagree with you completely. And the reason I disagree with you is because, one, I feel as though, and for anyone listening right now, we are definitely going into spoiler territory. So
Oh,
you
that's a
have been,
fair point.
you have been forewarned. Even though I don't even know if it'll matter because it's so dang confusing. But I'm gonna say one thing. One, um, the villain of this piece has such a weak arc that it for me at least, let me listen, you have your opinion, let me have mine, okay?
I'm just making faces at you.
This guy is motivated. Let's just call him what he is. He's a narcissist. He is a bad husband who happens to have a terminal illness. And in the course of the film, which we'll talk about a little bit later, he makes decisions that would be contradictory to what someone with that type of power, the power that I'm speaking of, everyone, is, let's call it time travel for the lack of a better word, because Nolan would certainly not call it
The
time travel.
reversing of time.
Right. He would call it something fancy smancy. I call it Back to the Future. I call it going back in time, but that's just me. Now, I don't feel that that villain, it just, to me, it just, the motivation seems so like weak. It was weak, man. When people know that this guy is willing to do what he's going to do, which I'm not going to say it yet, it makes absolutely, like, it's just so, what's the word? It's so, like, dude just got it from the freaking bubblegum wrapper. That's how I feel. That's my thoughts on there. And you're squinting, man. But you know what?
I'm
This is my
trying to
opinion.
I'm
Make me
trying
a
to
believer.
conceptualize. I'm trying to internalize what you're saying because I don't think that anything about this film is like thinly written. I think if anything, it's like too deeply
Uh,
written.
First of all, deeply written or written with all these fancy smancy twists and turns doesn't equal a good script. I'm sorry. You may be falling into that pitfall, but I will not. I am not
It's
giving Nolan a pass on this one. I am not. And when
okay.
I
All
talk
right.
about Interstellar, you'll see
Okay.
why.
So your two main beefs. I just want to make sure that I understand them. One, you think the plot is thin.
Very thin.
Okay. And then the second is that you think that the villain's motivations don't make sense.
I didn't say that. I said that I was disappointed in the direction and the motivations that were written for that villain.
So you don't like the motivations of the villain.
I don't like the way that villain was written. I don't like the fact that that villain is going to do or wants to do what he wants to do simply because of one person. I think
It's not about one person though.
well,
That's not what his
it
motivations are. It's he's a narcissist. You nailed that.
absolutely
He's a narcissist and he's dying anyway.
correct.
So, I mean, for a narcissist, the best thing for him in his mind as a narcissist is that he gets to choose when the end of the world is. I mean, I think that that's I don't have an issue with that. I don't understand. I guess my question for you is why is that a problem for you? I'm having a hard time with that. I'm having a
Well,
hard time with that being your issue with this movie.
you know, welcome, Danny. Danny says, "Sorry, Clark. The training wheels came off after Inception. Either you get it or you don't with a Nolan film." And here's the thing. This is
He
the
hadn't
problem
seen
I have.
Inception front to back either.
Right. But here's the issue I have with that kind of a statement from the Nolan fans that come out of the woodwork. A couple of things. One, and I appreciate the feedback and the statement, but here's the issue I have. Nolan, you said it actually earlier when you said, end quote, Nolan thinks he's smarter than the rest
Oh,
of
he
us.
does. No, I
And
agree with that. He does.
absolutely. And that is the biggest insult to the viewer, in
Is
my
it though?
opinion.
But you,
Absolutely
but
it is.
if you're
Absolutely it is.
if you enjoy Nolan films, you enjoy that about his films. I mean, that's the reality. If you like Christopher
The
Nolan,
twist and turns. Absolutely.
that's what you're signing up for. I mean, so
Mm,
that's what.
mm,
So for me, I don't go into a Christopher Nolan film expecting anything less. Now, do I think that this film skirted that line a little
mm.
bit? It did skirt that line a little bit. Okay.
A
Again,
little
I
bit.
will say it did skirt that line, but I do think that by the end, I was bought in. Like
Well,
I thought that the film revealed enough to where afterwards I was like, God, I kind of wish I knew more about this whole scenario and how I don't know how deep you want to go into the spoilers, but how this our protagonist was behind everything the whole time. A future version of himself was behind everything. Like I was like, damn, that's so good. I love that. So I don't know. I thought it was really confusing for the first half, but then once they all started flipping back and going backwards into time, that's when everything started to click for me, and I was like, "This is a clever ass movie." I don't know.
I disagree completely. In fact, there was a lot of plot holes within the film, as well as the film did made decisions that were contradictory to the established rules of the film.
Such
So,
as
for example, I'm going to explain. The wife, I can't remember the name of
names are
the.
irrelevant.
Okay, fine. The
The lady.
the lady, the wife, okay, of the villain. Okay, she's the one of the main people in the film. It's established that in order to go back in time, you have to wear a mask because of the breathing and all that crap, right? Yet she's
On the way
there.
back. On the way back. you have to wear. But whenever you flip backwards to go forward, you don't have to wear the mask. I know where you're going with this. That's the
So
rules that have
okay,
been
all right.
established.
Okay. The rules are you can go flip back, flip forward, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, because
I
you're
don't understand
reversed.
what's the reasoning behind it.
The reasoning that they've laid out in this film is that because that your whole existence has basically been flipped and you're traveling backwards in time, your body can't process oxygen from the inverse movement of time, is with what he's saying. And so once they so say I turn back from this moment right now and go on my journey back to the beginning of this podcast, I have to have oxygen. But once I flip back and I'm headed back into normal time, my body can then process again the oxygen that's flowing through time.
Okay. So you're saying to me that if I go, how far back in time do I have to wear the mask?
Anytime you're traveling back, you have to wear the mask. If you're in the process of motion back, you have to wear the mask.
Okay,
but
fine.
only during the process of motion back.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Okay, so you mean to tell me so up to the point where we get to the point where she wants to see for the conversation in the boat, right? So the beginning of that conversation, you're saying to travel back, she needs to wear the mask. Once she gets to that point, she can remove the mask because things are going to flow
She had
through.
so there was I'm sorry. There was a whole sequence where they were moving back in time, and if they were outside like of the contained like space-time continuum that they were moving in, they had to have the mask on. So at the point where she stopped and she began following the normal course of time, she no longer had to wear the mask, which was before that scene that you're referencing on the boat. Because at that point she was moving forward in time.
All right, fair enough. I'm not going to get caught up in schematics there, but that to
Well,
me,
you said
like,
there's plot holes. I'm
well,
trying to
the
take
plot
care of your
hole.
plot
Okay,
hole.
it wasn't easy for an average viewer to follow that. Let me talk some other issues I had with it. Okay, Nolan is notorious for amping up the soundtrack and reducing the dialogue. I literally had to put on closed captioning just so that I could understand what some of the characters were, what some of the actors were saying. What say you about that?
I don't know if I have a good gauge of that because honestly, the room that we were watching the movie in, we always have that problem. So I had closed captions on the whole time. So I
Right.
can't really
So
dispute
okay.
that. So
Well,
my
I
thing
can
is that
tell
I do
you
that with every movie
I
now.
understand that, but I can tell you that it was extremely hard to understand what anyone was saying because the music was either blaring way too the music, the soundtrack was blaring way too high during scenes where there was dialogue, and then on top of that, during scenes where actors were speaking, it was still very low enough that it caused issue with understanding what was going on in the character. So that was my technical gripe. Okay, that's my
Okay.
technical gripe. Um, and also, I thought it was way too long. I thought it was. I thought Nolan continues to. There was okay. Let me just say this. You're squinting there and whatever. It clocks in at almost 3 hours long. Okay, I mean 2 hours and 45 minutes or something along those lines. It was for me probably about 20 minutes too long. That's just my opinion. I felt like there were things that could have been shaved here and there, some beats that needed to be removed to me to make it go a little bit faster. That was just my opinion. I felt it was very unwatchable in some points because it just did not move. Things were moving so slow
See, I
that
just don't,
it
I
was
think this is a
so
taste thing.
confusing.
I question I question I think okay, let me back up. I think the problem here, I don't think that and you kind of said it earlier, you are not like a Nolan fan person. If you
Well, when I talk about Interstellar,
well,
perhaps
well,
you'll see
well,
differently.
no, but what my point is that so for me, I haven't met a Christopher Nolan film that I wasn't really into. All the way back to Memento. Everything he's done. Love it. Okay, so I don't know. I know when I turn this movie on that I am looking at a pretty methodical pace that is going I mean, he's had so many movies now dealing with the concept of time, which Interstellar is one, Inception is one. Dunkirk even plays with the notion of time throughout the film, because everyone's moving at a different pace and at different points in time throughout the narrative. So he loves playing with this notion of time. And so I don't know, my expectations of the film are pretty much what they were. So I came into the film expecting what it was, and yeah, it took a little while to finally understand it because it was confusing through the first half. But once it did make sense, I feel like I was rewarded because I was pretty amped about the film after I finally understood what was actually happening. So I don't think that you and I have the same taste in this sense for this kind of movie, because I love this kind of movie, and I don't think you do.
Well, I disagree with that assessment. While there may be some valid points in that, I didn't enjoy this specific film, and I thought it was extremely. Let's just put it's the reason it's one of his most worst, his most lowest reviewed movies is because of the plot holes and the.
There are no plot holes. What plot
The
holes?
plot. Okay, let me explain the plot
And
holes.
I'm looking up the reviews too. Hold on.
You're supposed look up the Rotten Tomatoes.
I am.
Whatever you want to say.
I
But okay. But let me just say this, okay? Because I have
70% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean,
which most of his fall in the 90s.
I know, so but you're making it. Yeah, but you're making it sound like it's this unwatchable film.
Listen, can I just say something? I didn't realize that you were getting a commission for every time you said how great you love this film. You are sipping some serious Nolan Kool-Aid here, and it's annoying because
yes, I am. I would agree. I love Christopher.
But let me just say one thing. You try to explain away some of the things that I, not only myself, but several respected reviewers as well as audiences felt were problematic about the film.
Do you want me to summarize what all of them say, or do you want me to tell you what my experience was with this film? Because I can't, but I can tell you what my experience is very positive with this film. And I think that you're a little off base, though, because your expectations of this film are different than my expectations of this film.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to say one thing, okay? For me, let me just get down to it. John David Washington, which happens to be the main protagonist of the film, because he's not named in the film.
He's named the protagonist. Right. If you look at all the credits, that's what his name is.
It's right. It's the protagonist. So he is named the protagonist. I thought his acting was adequate. I thought it was. Let me finish. I thought that it was adequate. I do think that he was hamstrung, my opinion, by the limitations of the character, because you don't get to flesh out the character because of the whole spoiler, M. Night Shyamalan, whatever you want to call it, thing about it. So hold on.
You're stressing me out. I just want you to know you're stressing me out.
Okay, well that's fine, because I have my own opinion. You have yours.
You should be ashamed of disrespecting the Washington family like that.
All right. Well, let me just say
ashamed.
I will say
that's Denzel's kid, son.
I think he's an awesome actor. I've seen him in several different films, as well as I have seen him in Ballers, which was a great football series that was in HBO, I believe, and it starred The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I thought it was awesome about football, and he played a football player that I thought was great. So I don't have a problem with him or his acting. I know what he's capable of. I think, and not I think, my opinion is that there were moments in there where I think his character just did not seem believable. That's just my opinion. Now, I'm before I wrap this portion,
I think you're wrong. Can I just go on record saying that you're very wrong about that? He's excellent in this movie. The casting in this movie was excellent. Even Robert, he was really good. I thought he was great. And honestly, I came away from the movie thinking that Robert Pattinson could probably play Batman. Honestly.
Well, I don't have a problem with Robert Pattinson. He wasn't meant to carry the film. John David Washington was meant to carry the film.
And he
I
did.
did not.
I don't know what you want, man.
Well, I disagree with certain aspects of his
Disrespect.
character. All right, that's just my opinion. Now, I'm gonna just put one more thing on here, okay? Because I like this. So this is a simmer of an interview because it's about Nolan, right? So I will say this: the last act, for me, redeemed the entire film. So I will say that the last act, which usually is the opposite, you have such great acts and then act you're like, oh, it petered out. What happened? I actually like started to like it started to come together for me in a nice, neat bow that I was very surprised was going to happen because of the confusion I had within the trying to figure things out up and leading up to that point.
But that's
So
the
I will
point, I
say,
think. I think that's the point, though. You're supposed to see only pieces of it, and then in the final act, it makes sense. But that's the point of the movie. Like, that's the experience you're supposed to have. So I
okay,
don't get all your
fair.
previous beef.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
understand what we're doing here anymore.
All right.
Am I drunk? Are you drunk?
I am
Who's
not
drunk?
drunk. I'm telling you that this is a film that people will be very divided on. I'm sorry, I keep clicking. That's why I keep shaking. Um, People are going to be divided about this film. It is a confusing film. It's about time travel. Daniel Lopez out there says, hear me out. If you're watching a movie about reversing time, do you think the beginning of the movie on the second go around would make more sense? The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. Do you agree with that assessment?
That's a solid assessment, yes.
All right.
I don't
Well,
like agreeing with the listeners, but yes, that's a solid assessment. I prefer disagreeing
you
with
don't
people than
like to
arguing.
agree.
I don't like agreeing, but I mean that's a solid assessment. I'll give him that.
Yeah. I will say this: production value. Um, he films amazing with a camera. I don't get me wrong. I am not by any means like belittling the masterful direction of Christopher Nolan in this film. What I am critiquing for me was a weak villain and first a poorly written villain, and also um, I felt that the lead of the film didn't have enough character development, in my opinion, to make me feel like, oh wow, this was like the third act, the final act. Yes, I'll give you that. I was like really stoked about it, but it's a one and done, so it makes it like kind of contrived because he doesn't do sequels. We all know that. I mean, in the sense that there would not be a Tenet 2. I don't
No.
believe that, but my point being is that it was like one of those kind of like crowd pleasing moments where you think, oh wow, more adventures, but there's not gonna be more adventures because there's not gonna be another one. That's just my opinion on that.
So 0 to 100, where does this one lie? So we can move
Wow,
on
we're
to
going zero
Interstellar.
to. All right, we're gonna go
That's what
zero
we
to
did last
100.
week.
Well,
That's what
you
we did
do it
last week.
first. You go first.
I'm probably about an 82. That's where I landed. Probably an 82.
Really? All right. Well, in fairness, I would probably list it around 77.
I don't know what we've been arguing about this whole time. Then just wasted like 45 minutes of my life. I'll never get back
Listen,
arguing with you about this
the
movie.
the point is the journey, okay? The point is the journey in the conversation of two individuals talking about a film that they didn't necessarily they liked but they didn't like, right? And so my point to you is, why do I have to love the sum of all its parts just because it's Christopher Nolan and I'm supposed to get it? I don't
Because
agree with
Christopher
that.
Nolan is a gift from the movie gods to us, and you should
Right.
appreciate him.
So all right, whatever. All right. So you're clearly biased, but okay, no
And
problem. Let's move along
I
to
call
Interstellar.
sure.
So Tenet, we both agree that it was a film that was produced at a excellent level. It was superbly directed. I had problems with the script. I had problems with the villain. I also had problems with the protagonist because I felt the character was underdeveloped. You disagree. You felt the villain had proper motivations. I did not. I think if you have a power of going back in time, why not try to go back in time to prevent yourself from getting a terminal cancer? But hey, who am I? I'm just some average Joe. So that's
Or
that.
that last statement, we're not going to argue about that. Time travel in films can go a long way. Anyway, sorry. Let's talk
What,
about
you can't
Interstellar.
change?
Let's talk
What,
about
you
Interstellar.
can't? They changed. Wait, hold on. You
No,
went into this
you
trope. The
there's a
trope
whole
was she
theory. There's a
changed the tape,
whole theory
but she
about time
changed some.
travel that things correct them, that certain things can't
Right.
be changed.
Well, she went in there and did a few things herself.
But we don't know what the long-term effects of that are because there's not a Tenet 2.
Correct. But we don't know that he could have gone back in time and
How
ended
are you
up
going to
being
prevent
cancer
yourself
free.
from getting cancer?
Simple.
How?
We don't know what type of cancer he had. Perhaps it's something he could have caught early. I'm just saying though, if we know the area of when he started to, he could be taking preliminary measures to prevent that cancer. It's just come on. You just
This is a ridiculous take. This is
well,
such. Let's go back in time and
just as
prevent us
ridiculous
from
as
getting
going back
cancer.
in time, turning around, and this machine. Oh, let me ask you this: what is the theory of going back in time? What makes them go back in time? Can you explain that to me?
Because at some point in the future, they figured out how to reverse, I guess, the polarity of whatever of objects and people. Put them back, but it's like this unknown thing in the future.
Dear God.
Which you know what? Hey, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something fun here to tie it back in Interstellar is almost exactly what's happening in Interstellar. Because in Interstellar, again, it's some advanced version of humanity somewhere in the future that's orchestrating this entire plot, and without it, the whole plot doesn't work. So it's
All right, fair.
very similar in that sense.
Fair enough. All right, let's move along to Interstellar. Um, I'm gonna let you kick this one off. I kicked off Tenet and my thoughts. I want you to kick off this one. Do you like this Interstellar? Do you think Interstellar is better for you than Tenet?
And that's a tough question. I was not prepared for that question.
I know,
Um,
and that's the reason why I cornered you on it.
I think Interstellar's better. I'll say Interstellar's better. I think I like Interstellar more than I like Tenet. Um, Interstellar. So first thing, I don't overly love Matthew McConaughey. Like he's good. He's good in some movies, but I'm also when I first saw the trailer for the film and saw that Matthew McConaughey was the star of the film, my initial thought was, I don't know about Matthew McConaughey in a Christopher Nolan film. That being said, by the end of the movie, I was sitting there going, man, maybe Matthew McConaughey is the greatest actor that's ever lived. Oh my gosh, he's amazing in this movie. Nothing else I've seen from him makes me feel like that, but he was fantastic in this movie. This is the kind of movie though that does suffer if you are watching it at home. There's something about this movie with the kind of the vastness of space that you needed the theater experience, and this is a film that does not work as well on a streaming service, I would say. And I think that was most notable for me when they first kind of get up there and they wake up, and I don't know any of these actors' names, so my bad. But the one guy is sitting there and he taps on the wall of the little capsule they're in, or the ship, and he goes, and just the vastness and the emptiness out here, that it gets me, just the nothingness forever. And because they've done such a good job cinematically of seeing the vastness of the nothingness, you feel that when he says it, I immediately go, man, that would be horrible. That would be psychologically so difficult. And so the way that it's set up lends itself to a theater experience versus a at home experience. So I mean, look, I love this movie. I thought this movie was really good. I think it also didn't get amazing reviews from what I remember when it first came out. And I remember seeing it and thinking, I thought it was confusing for a lot of people, kind of the same way as Tenet. A lot of people had a hard time following the movement of time within it, and it was long. It's a long movie. It's a slower paced film. I don't think that it got the recognition that it deserves in the Nolan catalog. That's me.
So, was it better than Tenet?
I think I said yes. I think it was
You
better
did.
than Tenet.
Okay. All right, very good. Um, I loved Interstellar. I thought it was amazing. The casting was great. Matthew McConaughey was excellent, and Hathaway was excellent in the film. The supporting characters were excellent. The effects were phenomenal. I thought uh, the parallels from real life was scary. I thought that it was emotionally. It had such an emotional weight for me that a movie like Tenet should have had when you're thinking about the statement of trying to save the world from something worse than nuclear holocaust. You know what I mean? The end of the world, you know? And so I just felt like the stakes within the group was there, but it just, the weight of the world didn't seem, uh, like it didn't feel as epically done as Interstellar. And I guess perhaps the reason for that, and again, the story beats is that no one really knew about the time travel, right? Only the select few that knew about it, so that makes sense there. But man, I got to tell you, I really loved this movie, and I think the reason for it, for me, humanity of it. When you think about the humanity of going to space, knowing that you stamped a one-way ticket pretty much. You know what I mean? And you're knowing that your family is growing old, and when you're doing these different paradoxes and time continuum, and all these equations that I have absolutely no idea or understand. I have to say that I was moved by this movie. I thought it is probably one of his best films, underrated for sure, in the sense that it doesn't get the accolades that I think it should have gotten. And that's just my opinion. I don't think it's his completely number one best Nolan film. I think truly for me, it's going to always go to The Dark Knight for the simple reason that to get the level of a performance out of an actor that was achieved with Heath Ledger's Joker is for me one of the most amazing displays of a director and an actor collaborating together and bringing a film together that to me should never have gotten that type of accolades because everyone kind of put it into that whole of comic book movie. My thoughts.
You know why I think the humanity of it strikes you is it's the inclusion of his family, of Matthew McConaughey's family in
Right.
the film. That's what gives it the human weight because it's easy to be like, oh, the world's ending, yeah,
Right.
their way, yeah, fuck them, it's the world, who cares? But it's because they the slow build at the beginning to put a face on his family is what made it have the emotional weight. So I don't like agreeing with you. Again, it upsets me at my core. I much prefer arguing with you, but it is a fantastic film. I think that the one thing that separates it and made me think that Interstellar is better than Tenet was the emotional weight of
Yes.
the inclusion of his family. I think that's
Yeah.
specifically
And
the thing that made it better to me.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's another reason why I felt Tenet was inferior because when you have the son and you would think that there would be some weight there with the mom, yes, but I just don't feel that the villain of the piece had any kind of like what's the word I'm looking at? There wasn't any emotional weight there. You know what I mean? Like for the love of the child. Um, he said, "If I can't have you, no one can." Right? And so for me, it didn't seem like he was offing himself just because he's dying, but more because he didn't want anyone else to have his wife, which I thought was kind of That was just my
He's a
about the
narcissist, man.
whole
That's how
plot.
narcissists are.
Yeah, I get it, but I just again, tomato, dude. I don't like it. There's nothing that
I you say that, but then you gave it a
well,
77. I don't
because
understand
I
your
said
ranking
I don't
system.
like. Well, first of all, 77 would mean that it was a C.
That's passing grade, man.
I didn't say it was a horrible film. I said the third act was amazing. I thought it really redeemed the entire rest of the picture. I said that to you.
My
And
wife
I
has
also
something to share with you. By the way, I just received a text message from her to share with
absolutely.
you. She said that Tenet is actually more believable because it is grounded on Earth versus out in the cosmos. So she wanted to share that with you. She's gonna be mad that I shared on air versus just.
Well, I will say this much. If we are talking about the technological advances to be able to travel in space, I don't think that's so far-fetched.
She said no black hole shenanigans.
Well, she's talking about a machine that we don't even understand that would go back in time and do all this funky stuff, but yet you don't want to believe in the whole black hole shenanigans. I'm just saying, I understand and I respect your
You're nicer to her than you are to
significant
me.
others.
You're nicer to her than I get
it. Significant others' opinion, because I think it's rooted in a thoughtful understanding of differences of opinion, as opposed to you, who becomes very fresh and very vindictive.
That is true. So let me ask you this. I know we've been going for about an hour now, so I want to end with this question. I want to talk about this. So we've established that I'm a Nolan apologist, and I can own that. For you, what are your top 3 Christopher Nolan films?
Dark Knight, for sure. Interstellar would be second. Dunkirk would be third. I really enjoyed Dunkirk.
Dunkirk was very good.
I really enjoyed Dunkirk. I thought it was an amazing film. It was just spectacularly produced, but also the characters were, for me, just so well written and acted that I really enjoyed that movie. And so I would say the top 3 is there.
Okay.
Those are my top 3. If we're talking about like early Chris Nolan, then I would have to go with.
Well, it's going to go overall. Yeah, I'm not going to make like eras of Nolan.
Yeah, but I would say, in my opinion, I would go with those 3. Dark Knight, because to get a performance like that is once in a lifetime. I mean, listen, the Joker, the one by the Joker film, and one by Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix, did an amazing job. But when you go back and you watch The Dark Knight, there's a nuance of electricity there that is just so out there that to me, it's either the way it's written is so strong, but also the way it was performed by the late Heath Ledger, Academy Award winner Heath Ledger, that to me was just wow, just blows my fucking socks away. Part of my expression.
I've been cursing this whole time. It's fine. So I don't know if I've told you this, and we may have an episode later on. We have an episode later on talking about like top movies of all time or anything. But so the last time I like really sat down and thought about that, The Dark Knight was my second favorite movie of all time. Second favorite movie was The Dark Knight. Do I think that it is the most like impressive film that Nolan has done? Probably not. But for him to take a comic book source material and do what he did with it, I think there is something really to be said about it, because when you go back and watch it, like, yeah, it's Batman and yeah, it's the Joker and whatever, but those films were not like comic book films that Christopher Nolan directed. It was films that Christopher Nolan directed that happened to be comic book movies. And so I think that he did something really special with the genre that is very difficult to duplicate. So
I agree.
I agree with your assessment of The Dark Knight there.
Yeah, so. Amazingly produced. I just, like I said, I can't. It's just one of those films that it's a damn shame that we didn't get to experience Heath Ledger films, and more of Heath Ledger. Let me just say that. I'm a loss for words there. So a couple of things, right? One, uh, I would give this 1 to 100 a 92. How about you? Interstellar.
I'm thinking of my Christopher Nolan hierarchy here as to where it should land. Um,
You did say it was better than Tenet.
Yeah, I would give it a 95.
Oh wow.
I really enjoyed the
Okay.
movie. I really enjoyed the film.
Fair
It was
enough.
really good. It was really good. I'm trying to think of anything from that film that I would do. Oh, the only reason it's not 100, I was going to touch on this. The only reason it's not 100 is the inclusion of Topher Grace in this film. Oh dear God! I realize that he's only in a small percentage of the scenes, but I can't with this guy. I watch it and all I see is Eric Foreman from that '70s show. I can't. The moment I see him, that's what I think.
Listen, the same thing happened to me when I watched Predators. Did you ever watch Predators?
No.
Robert Rodriguez made a Predators film, and it actually is pretty cool, and it's pretty, it is what it is, right? But Topher there, and, and let me tell you, Adrian Brody leads the cast. Okay, so you have a great, Academy Award winner, and you have the guy from Machete. What's his name? The Mexican
I don't know his name, but I know.
But you know what I'm talking. You've seen him. He's an angry-looking guy, right? And then some other characters, and the girl, the lady from I Am Legend, with Will Smith.
Yeah.
She is the lead as well with Adrian Brody, but Topher Grace plays a role in there, and I don't want to give it away because it's an interesting thing. But I have to tell you, the aha moment was ruined because I kept on going. That's freaking Eric Foreman.
Why is Eric Foreman in this movie?
Well, that not only is why is he there, but more importantly, why was he the person that they made him to be? But that's a whole other thing.
I can't with that guy. Look, I don't know anything about Topher Grace, and he may be a wonderful individual. I don't know. And again, good for you. You've made a lot of money making TV shows, and I love that '70s show. You did great with that. But I have not seen a film that he is in that I don't think that Eric Foreman is in the film.
I agree. I thought he was I thought he was completely miscast in Spider-Man 3. I thought it was not a good casting to have him as Venom.
I think that right there is the thing that keeps Interstellar from being like competing with The Dark Knight or Inception in my mind, is specifically Topher Grace. Am I allowing this one guy to hurt this film in my mind? Yes, this is a me problem. I get it, but I just can't with Topher Grace. Sorry.
Fair enough. Do you think Tenet, you would have enjoyed Tenet less or better? Would you have enjoyed it better in the theater?
No, I think it was. I think that one was fine.
Interstellar. Okay. Visually,
I think it was fine.
Okay, so it didn't need that theatrical experience.
Yeah, I think it's a little. You weren't dealing with like the vastness of space in that one, and so I don't need a, room-size screen to appreciate it like you do with Interstellar. So I think it was fine. I think it would have been fine if they had released it to streaming, but again, Christopher Nolan doesn't believe in streaming services. I don't know if you've seen the drama. He's all pissed at Warner Brothers.
I think he's done with Warner Brothers. Yeah, I think he's done with Warner Brothers.
He says that, but like Warner Brothers lets him do whatever he wants.
And I think that was another one of the problems. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say, this is what happens when a studio lets loose a director and makes a film like this, where it's like, what?
He makes a great film. Is that what you're talking about? Like the studio lets him go and he makes a great movie. Yeah, no, I agree. This is what happens. You know what? Let me just go ahead and say this: more of these studios, let your directors do stuff. You get greatness. Let's stop making all the cookie cutter films. Let's do something a little bit different.
He's earned the right to do it because he makes money for the studio. So I definitely agree there. But there are some directors that make decisions on films that, defy logic, and then they end up losing money for the studio. So when it pertains to Christopher Nolan, I think he's earned the right to make whatever kind of film he wants to make. Again, I didn't hate it. but I certainly did not think it was one of his best. And
Hmm.
that's just my opinion.
Well, that's okay. You can be wrong. Really quick before we go, just unrelated question for you. Are you watching
Yes.
WandaVision?
I am okay. So a couple of things on that. I have not gotten past the first. I am going to be making some effort to get caught up. But yeah, I definitely want to have conversations with that. Without giving anything away, what are your initial thoughts
I haven't
on
watched the third
WandaVision?
episode yet. I haven't watched the third episode yet. I just watched the first two. Um, at the end, I can't spoil it. I'm sorry. My
Yeah, no,
my my initial thoughts is that I'm far more in. They're hinting at this subplot,
mm,
right? That like this. I don't know what I can say and can't say because I don't know what people know, like from a comic book perspective, what Wanda Maximoff has the power to do, but there's clearly an issue with reality and a reality that she's created is the whole thing here because we all saw Vision die in Infinity War. So I don't think
right.
that's news. We all saw Vision die, but somehow he's here. So they're hinting at this other thing throughout the first two episodes, and I'm far more interested in what they're hinting at than the episodes themselves because the rest of it's just kind of filler that we're doing.
Right.
I want to know what's happening with this subplot that is being just wink wink nudge nudged about. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the other 20 minutes of the episode.
All right, fair enough. Well, listen, we have some, exciting shows coming ahead. Obviously we delved into deep, deep content with the Nolan verse, but we have a lot of things in the pipeline. We're going to be looking at, a lot of the Marvel and DC films, but we're also going to be looking at other segments to including, and I want to tease this to everyone. Kyle has never seen one episode of The Sopranos.
That's
And so
true.
Kyle and I are going to have a Sopranos corner where he reviews, or rather, watches each episode, and we have conversations with each about each episode of The Sopranos. And this is coming from someone that has never seen one piece of The Sopranos. So can you believe that? I can't believe that he
Not a
hasn't.
single
But
minute.
but but this is a person who has never seen The Sopranos, arguably one of the best made TV series of all time, and it'll be interesting to see your thoughts on this series. Obviously about the Northeast mob and just a lot of twists and turns, and I'm excited to have you watch that and to actually talk through each of the characters and storylines and story beats. So that'll be an interesting segment. We're going to be talking about that in the future. That'll be included in our show. We're going to be talking more about different reviews. If you haven't already, please visit us at or rather follow us at our Instagram page at Lights Up Productions.
Ink.
Also,
Lights Up Productions Inc.
I'm
There's an
sorry,
ink at the end.
Lights Up Productions Inc. We'll put it in the link to this show as well, into this YouTube link under the subject heading. But, or rather, what do they put it in? The
The
little,
description.
the description. We'll put it in the YouTube description. Also, I want to make sure that you guys know that we have another great sports show from our brothers of Townie Sports. They will be coming and talking about obviously the ramifications with the Super Bowl and what does that mean and who might win, and they're going to cover that and take a real big deep dive on Wednesday with Townie Sports at around around
I think
eight-ish.
they
Well,
said
let's leave
eight.
it.
I think Sammy
Yeah,
said
eight.
eight. They said
All right,
eight. I think he said.
we're gonna strive for eight, but they're gonna have a lot to talk about. If you're into sports, I definitely recommend you guys do that. We continue to develop more and more. Just keep in mind that we are probably just 3 weeks in right now, I think, Kyle. So this is something that we developed and we have, continued to make better each of the episodes, the production value. Just confirmed from Sammy, the host and arguably the most attractive looking of all of us,
That's true.
will be, yep, and he will be, he's stating that 8 p.m. is the start time for Townie Sports to cover, obviously, the Super Bowl. Also, they will be headed to on site to where the Super Bowl is going to be played, and they're going to be doing some segments as well. So we have a lot of exciting things going on with our channel, Lights Up Productions, and we'll continue to bring new content as we come along. So with that, Kyle, before I go, we're going to go ahead and when we end the show, we're going to play your song again. Can you just kind of like talk us through the end of the show with your just kind of giving us a description of your song, and then we'll go ahead and call it a night.
Yeah, the band name is Chasing Airplanes. Track title is From Within. It will be out on all streaming services February 5th. If you're into heavy music that has some singing as well as screaming, hey, get on in there. Follows on Spotify are great. Instagram, Chasing Airplanes Music. Find me there, or Twitter, which is Chase Airplanes. So if you like watching people, dick around and play the guitar and stuff, I do a lot of that. It's very exciting stuff. And random pictures of my daughter. If you want to see her trying to break my guitars, that's also fun. She does that. So check it out.
Awesome. And we're going to have to tie your hands so that way
Can't
you don't
do it, man.
Yeah,
Can't
we're going to
do
have
it.
to
So,
do something. Listen, I'm Clark, and this is Kyle. You've, been through another episode of House of Fandom. We've got a lot to unpack in future episodes. Thank you for coming in and hearing us out. We're still getting used to the flow here, so pardon our dust as we continue to kind of, get through the whole podcasting world and just kind of, the nuances. But again, we appreciate you coming in. If you like what you've listened to or see, please like and subscribe at Lights Up Productions. And we appreciate everyone that came on today on the live. Sammy, Danny, also Dark Eyes, as well as Bueller. I don't know who that is. Something Bueller. Anyway, he keeps saying Moby. Anyway, so this is Clark on the out for you guys. So you guys have a great night. I am going to bring us to the song. So have a good night, my friend. We'll talk soon.